welcome back to another edition of Ring the Bell and Eagle Show. We got week 6 coming up here, and I'm Johnny Mack, and this is Brad DeFrancesco. How you been, Brad?
Been good. How about you?
Doing well, can't complain. Let's start off with a week 6 update of what's going on during this week and through the bye week and everything. It came out this week that Cooper DeJean is going to be the starting nickel corner this week. He's fully up to speed and with the defense and fully healthy, so it's going to be exciting to see him watch him play over Maddox. Devin White was cut earlier this week. Um, wasn't a shock to really anybody. He hasn't been activated once this week. He was a big signing in the offseason that we thought he was going to be help at linebacker, but it seems like Vaughn and Dean have just been better than him, so far, and going through training camp and then into the weeks leading up to games every week. So he's no longer with the Eagles. We'll see what happens with him where he goes. Right now, nobody's signed him or put a waiver claim in for him, so it looks like he's free to do whatever he wants at this time. And then Lane Johnson, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith will all be back this week. Smith and Brown were Smith and Lane were dealing with concussions. They look like they're going to be back, and AJ Brown was dealing with that hamstring. Look like he's going to be back after the bye week, having about 3 to 4 weeks off. Um, Start off with the offense. Let's go over just Jalen Hurts in general. What's your thoughts coming in after the bye week with Jalen Hurts?
I just hope that he gets going like they were in the beginning of last season, especially because they have their weapons back. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are back. AJ Brown, I think, is going to have a big impact now for the rest of the season. Hopefully, he stays healthy and the hamstring doesn't give him much problems. But I think AJ Brown and Hurts are going to go back to what they normally do, and I don't think you're going to see. I mean, I think you're going to see it, but I don't think that now that AJ's back, that Saquon's he's going to get his touches, but you're going to see more of the passing game now.
Yeah, I expect that too. I mean, Jalen Hurts, you're $250 million man. You're one of the highest paid QBs in football. At the time of your contract, you were the highest paid QB in football. But as that changes, every time a new QB gets their contract, obviously that slips down. But you make your $250 million. It's now or never. You have a fully healthy offense this week. That's huge. You're coming out of a bye week where you had times where you could you and Sirianni had a conversation and to work things out and work things out with the offense and just you guys together to grow as people. So you had that conversation this week. Do you have anything, does that stand out to you that they had that conversation this week? You heard that they have had problems in the off season and in last season with the offense and everything. Does that concern you at all that, they had to have a little meeting together during the bye week to come together and, get some things off their chest and figure out ways they can, make this offense more successful?
I just think that I hope the conversation that they had worked. To be honest with you, like I think we said this in the group chat, but I don't think the players trust Sirianni as a play caller, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know. I just hope that whatever they talked about, like it sparked something.
Yeah. I think,
We can get excited.
I think they trust Sirianni as like just a football guy in general and as like a head coach. So guy who always has the players' backs and everything like that. And it seems to me like he loves football and loves being around football. And I think the players love that about him. But offensively, I don't think many people trust him at all the way it's been going the last few seasons. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts, I think the Eagles and them in general are just going to win games in despite of what Sirianni is calling offensively, what he's game planning offensively, and stuff in that nature. I think he has a little more control than we initially thought, but I think it comes down to Jalen being just better. He has no excuses anymore. I mean, I was giving him some excuses because he was missing AJ Brown, he was missing Devontae Smith, he was missing Lane Johnson for a game. I gave him those excuses, but now they're back and healthy, so there shouldn't be these the offense should be scoring points. There shouldn't be these drives, 3 and outs, 3 and outs, 3 and outs, 3 and outs.
Yeah.
They should be scoring points and moving the football. We're through 4 weeks of the season. Hurts wasn't great the first 4 weeks. He had glimpses of being great. He had times where you're like, all right, this is the guy. But then there's times you're like, what the heck is this guy doing? Protect the football, and those concerns still stay there. From this point on, I'm kind of going to go on a 4 week stand that I want to see improvement from Jalen Hurts over the next 4 weeks, and hopefully we see those improvements from the previous 4 weeks, and then we'll build off the next 4 weeks after that, and the next 4 weeks after that. I think they're in a good position coming out of this bye week with the Browns. The Browns coming up, they have the Giants coming up, so they have the Bengals coming up, and then I forget who the other opponent they have coming up too, but they have 4 games that at this point I expect them to at least win. Go 3-1 in those games. There could be a game there where they do lose a football game, but I do think they should go at least 3-1 with this offense and how good this offense can be. I think they should be 3-1 going into that. Let's move over into the offensive game plan, which we've all shook our heads over the past couple weeks because we have Saquon Barkley. What do you expect from the Eagles' game plan? After watching 4 weeks, what do you expect from their game plan this week
I know that
after the bye?
AJ. I know AJ's back and Devontae's back, but they have to run the ball, dude. They have to
Mhm.
give him as many touches as they possibly can. Run him. I hate to say it because it's Barkley, but you gotta run him into the ground,
Yeah,
and he'll do
yeah,
it for you. He'll give you what you want. You just gotta give him a chance.
yeah. I really think the game plan for the Eagles should be Saquon Barkley. The Eagles' biggest strength year to year is their offensive line and how good this offensive line is in the run game, and which at times, especially the game against the Bucks, we just did not see how this offensive line operates in the run game because we just didn't run the football. Saquon only had 10 carries. That can't happen. There should never be a game where he has less than 18 carries. I mean, he should have 20 almost every single game. I mean, that's what I think. But will we see that? I don't know. But let's do Saquon Barkley. Let's get him 20 carries. Let's design 7 to 10 runs. Out of Jalen Hurts. Let him use his legs where he has success, and that all. They need to dominate the time of possession. The time of possession has been a problem because you saw against, especially against the Bucks, where you go 3 and out on offense, and then you're just giving the ball back to having the defense to make a stop over and over again. They're just putting together long drives on this defense. It's no help at all. But if you at least, if you dominate the time possession with the run game, you know, that gives your defense a break. They're on the field for less snaps. We're gonna, the offense is gonna, the opposing offense is gonna start passing the football more. Where, our run defense hasn't been great at all. So they're not dominating the time possession. You're dominating. You're controlling the way the game and the outcome goes, and you're keeping these, top QBs. And Deshaun Watson's not a top QB, but you're keeping top QBs off the field by running the football. In which that's especially when you start running the football, it's just going to open up the pass game. In which, especially when it seems like this is a football team that wants to throw the ball down the field a lot, and with their pass plays are designed, they want to throw the football down the field. You can't throw the football down the field if you're not going to the football because they're just going to safeties are going to sit back. There's no safety coming up to try to stop the run. But if you commit to the run where you run the football and a safety has to drop up. They have to put more guys in the box to stop Saquon. They have to keep an eye on Jalen Hurts from, scrambling and using those design runs. That's just going to open up the deep ball and the passing game, which, we didn't see, especially when you were missing AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts. I think we need to see that more. Um, through the rest of the season, I think it's going to help them tremendously because when Hurts was his best, the Eagles were a top 5 rushing offense in football, and they just really, outside of Saquon Barkley's long carries, they really haven't been a top rushing attack because he broke a huge 59-yard run, he broke a huge 70-yard run. He had those big carries and stuff like that. You take those away, they're not really a dominant rushing threat that we expect them to be. So hopefully the bye week helped them and help them realize that situation that they needed to rush the football a little more.
Yeah.
Let's get over to the defensive side of the football, and this is going to be probably something coming up all year long, which is the pass rush, and especially this week when the Browns are probably the worst pass protection offense in football. They've given up 26 sacks, which is the most in football. They are on pace right now to give up the most sacks in NFL history, which was on not Derek Carr, David Carr, Derek Carr's brother with the Texans back in 2002 or 2003, something years ago, that they gave up 70 some sacks. And the Browns are on pace to give up that many sacks this year. What do you expect from the pass rush this week?
Well, now that you say that, at least a couple. We haven't seen much from the pass rushing, the defensive rushing. So I hope that we get at least hoping 2 sacks, 3 sacks if we can get
Yeah,
there because we
yeah,
haven't
it's
seen much from it.
I haven't really seen much, and it's going to come down to the point where it's at the point where they're blocking our edge rushers with tight ends, and they're just double and triple teaming our defensive tackles and not letting them get any pressure because they're the only ones who seem to really get pressure at the quarterback. But it's it's a major issue, and especially coming with the bye week, if you don't know that's a major issue, and if you're Vic Fangio, you got to get a game plan here to somehow figure out ways to get pressure on this quarterback. And if it's not from the pass rush, it might have to be from outside sources like a safety or a cornerback blitz here and there, some linebacker blitz here and there. Fangio is not a guy who likes to blitz a ton, but it might be a
And it does
situation where
seems
he's
like
like,
this. Yeah.
it might be a situation where you have to blitz. You have to be able to get your edge rushers on one on one. In your defensive tackles on one on one situations. But if you can't do that, then it's going to be a major problem from here on out. If we can't get a couple sacks here today, I mean, I think we only have like 4 or 5 sacks. And I don't think we've had a game this season with multiple sacks yet. This is a week where maybe the edge rushers watch some film, the coordinators watch some film, the position, the edge rush coach, the defensive end coach, the D line coach, they looked at stuff like this week where they could say, this is what we need to start doing, especially with Bryce Huff, who you paid a ton of money, who seems, you're not putting him in it seems like it's a defensive coordinator issue where you're not putting him in positions right now to succeed. You kind of a guy who's kind of still learning how to play this position, every single down and at a good level where he can stop the run, he can pass rush. He's just not in that situation where he's
Does he
playing.
even have a tackle?
He has a half a tackle last game.
Yeah, but that got taken away, I thought. No, that was the first game.
No, first game it got taken away. Last game he did get half a tackle last game, but
You probably see more out of it.
he's just been put in a situation where it appears that he lined up in the 3-point stance with the Jets. He's not lined up in the 3-point stance with the Jets. That needs to change. You need to look at that. He's actually playing more rushing downs and rushing plays than he played on the Jets, and he's playing less passing downs than he played with the Jets. So maybe he should be playing more passing downs here, like he did with the Jets, and maybe less rushing downs until he kind of figures out, how to, play this position, as an every down player and, can play 50 snaps a game, because it seems like he's not. So they need to put him in a position to succeed, and they kind of haven't done that. So that's why we haven't seen him succeeding, because he's just not being used the way he was used with the Jets, and something needs to change with that. And if it's not, then, it might have to be, you have to chalk it up as one of the worst contracts we've ever given. But
Yeah.
I really, if you can't get pressure this week, it's going to be on Howie to do something. Next week he needs to bring in somebody who can get after the passer. If you can't get against this offensive line who's the worst, pass protection in football, you can't get a couple sacks and dial pressure against Watson. Well, it's going to be a problem. And he may have a good game where he's been horrible this year, and that brings up to our next thing is Deshaun Watson. He is the worst quarterback in football. He
gave
awful.
up on his team. You saw that video?
Yep. He probably shouldn't be starting. It probably should be Jameis Winston. The Eagles secondary, allows Watson to pick them apart like, Baker Mayfield did. Jordan Love kind of picked them apart a little bit. I know Kirk Cousins and Carr didn't really pick them apart at all, but those guys have the capability to, and they just have, I guess we had a good game plan that week for those guys where they weren't able to do much because they were running the football more than they were passing the football. So that was like that situation there. But you saw Baker Mayfield absolutely pick apart the secondary, and if Deshaun Watson does that, I mean, that's a real major problem that this defense just simply isn't that good, and this football team's not going to do much with the defense that it just can't stop the run. They can't get pressure. They they can't even stop a quarterback who's the worst in football from picking them apart. It's going to be it'll be a major issue the rest of the year, and it's going to cost them games, which it already has cost them games this year. I expect at least 2 turnovers from this defense this week. I mean, you have to turn the football over. It's crucial, especially with Jalen Hurts, who's turning the football over. If he's going to turn the football over, defense, you got to turn the football over too, because even if he turns the ball over once, you still got to win the turnover battle, and we're not even turning the football over to win the turnover battle. So even if Hurts has a perfect game and doesn't throw any turnovers, we're not turning the football over. So how it's a major problem in the last 2 seasons where we're just not we're not turning the football over, and I think. Deshaun Watson of how bad he's been, I think they can get a few turnovers off him today in this Browns offense. Let's go to Cooper DeJean, who is finally going to get his first start. He's going to be the starting nickel corner over Maddox, Maddox just hasn't been the guy he was last year or even 2 years ago, where we looked at him as a very good slot corner when he's healthy, but he just hasn't been that guy, and it seems like Cooper DeJean is fully up to speed with the defense. He's fully healthy. He's ready to go. So it's exciting to see that a guy that we traded up for in the second round, he's going to get his chance to show why we drafted him, why he was considered one of the top cornerbacks coming to this draft, why he was so successful in college. We're finally going to get able to see that on the field. What do you expect from Cooper DeJean today?
Couple pass breakups, obviously. Since he's having this not having this since he's getting this opportunity, it's obvious that he should be big in the defense. I feel like he should. And like not yesterday, fucking 2 weeks ago in a game, didn't see too much, but I feel like now that he's in here, he should be
Yeah,
getting.
there wasn't really much, seen from him yet, but I mean, he's a playmaker. He was a playmaker in college. That's all he did was make plays in college. We saw blitzes off. He blitzed off the nickel spot. In college. I expect. Maybe that's why Fangio wants him to start because he can do that. He has had success in college doing that. Maybe he needs a way to dial up some pressure on Watson. So maybe we're going to see some more. Nickel blitzes off of Maddox. I mean, not off of the Gene because we didn't really see that much from Maddox. Maybe that's something we're gonna, that's one of his, Bandio's game plans going into it. And the Eagles defense just has simply been missing a playmaker. They just, don't have one. There's been spots where Dean had a chance to get a pick six one game. You know, Mitchell had multiple opportunities to pick off had a pick or a pick six here and there where we just don't have a guy who's there to make a huge play and a huge splash to gain momentum
I mean,
on
besides
this
besides
defense.
Blankenship be making plays.
Yeah, and they were both, late game turnovers, which, great that we got late game turnovers, but sometimes, the offense isn't really doing much offensively and we need some momentum. A defensive player needs to make a huge play. And that, outside of those two interceptions, they're the only turnovers the Eagles have. So we need somebody who can, bring a playmaking ability, even like a huge sack on third down from the Gene, blitzing from the corner spot, or, he just puts pressure under Watson where he makes a bad throw. Those are plays that we need somebody to start making, and nobody's making them at this time. So that's something I expect, I think that's something Gene will bring to this defense where we don't have
I
to
want to.
rely, we don't have to rely too much on everybody else to make a play. We just bring somebody new, fresh legs in, and he comes and makes a huge play for the Eagles, to get
Yeah,
a stop, gets a turnover, do something along those lines.
I want to see Quinton Mitchell with an interception today.
It just, I would like to see him with one too, but it just seems like,
Maybe not today, but he's gonna get his look.
he might not just be a guy who can catch the football well. That's why he plays cornerback. We always everybody makes that joke like, oh, that's why he's a DB, not a wide receiver because he can't catch. But it seems like he's in there on pass breakups all the time. But it's just he's had a couple opportunities where he should have probably intercepted the ball and he didn't. So that would be great to see if he can get his first career interception under the belt this week too. I like to see both of them. Both of them can turn the ball over somehow and do something. Maybe it's Gene just getting pressure on the quarterback, forcing the interception for Quinyon Mitchell, get or something along those lines. That's something we're going to see. But at the end of the day, the Gene's going to have a tough matchup against one of the best route runners in football this week with Amari Cooper, and that's a way to get your rookie career started in a starting position where you're going to get the top cornerback in the league, and you can hold him down and make a couple plays on him. I mean, that's going to be tremendous help to this defense coming up.
I also saw that Sidney Brown's getting cleared.
Yeah, I didn't see if he was activated yet, but it looks like he was on his way to start coming back.
That's what.
But he's another guy, who they drafted in third round last year that they thought was going to be a future safety of this team, but he just really has, he played a little bit last year and tore his ACL, so really haven't got seen much of what he can do yet in this league. So hopefully, he comes back, maybe it changes up this defense a little bit in different situations.
Yeah.
Let's get over to the same game parlay portion of the show. We each cook up a same game parlay every week. It's just something we do for fun. If you are a gambler, gamble responsibly. Don't bet more than what you can bet. Call me not hurt a gambler if you have a problem. We are not sponsored by any sports books yet. That'd be great if we can get that in the future, but we aren't yet. Today I have AJ Brown anytime touchdown, Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown, Devontae Smith for 60 plus yards, and then I have Saquon Barkley going to 100 yards this week. I think the Eagles are going to learn from their losses, and I think you're going to start relying on Saquon heavily. And I think a guy who's probably been one of the best running backs in football, when he this year. So I think it's something we should continue to rely on heavily. So I think that's what I got today. So what do you got, Brad?
So my parlay is I got Hurts over 250 passing yards. I also have him throwing for 1+ TD, and I have that for AJ Brown. AJ Brown anytime touchdown, and I have Barkley 80+ rushing yards.
All right. We're in the same boat, and that kind of comes to our final prediction, which, I kind of agree with the Jalen Hurts 250 yards passing. I think the Eagles win 27-13. I think they score 3 touchdowns today. I think Jalen Hurts has no turnovers. I think he throws for 250 plus yards. I think he throws 2 touchdowns this week. So I think we're gonna see a different Jalen Hurts this week. The guy that we expect to be the leader and the QB1, the best quarterback on the team. The leader, best top 5 quarterback, top 10 quarterback. I think we get that guy this week against this Browns team, and they win 27-13. They should win. I mean, if they lose this week, it's kind of like
it's bad.
It's bad. It's
Something's
sound the
up.
alarms. There's something wrong. It's probably it's going to be time for Sirianni. Probably if they lose this week. I mean, Sirianni should be gone. It's just you can't lose this week. We should dominate this game. We should win.
Yeah, I
The
have us have.
offense is bad. Our defense is bad, but this offense is just as bad as our. All right, so we should be able to handle this. This offense and everything. They don't have Chubb yet. Ward hasn't done anything. Um, Judy and Elijah Moore haven't done anything as wide receivers. Cooper hasn't really done much this year. Njoku, I'm not sure if he's playing, but he was questionable. But they have nothing on offense. I mean, we should roll this team. We have a better offense. We can run the football. We can dominate time possession. So they should win 27-13. Jalen Hurts should have a good game. He should have 250 yards passing against this team, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Saquon goes over 100. It should be the Eagles offense show, and that's what should be talked about. The rest of the week. After the game, post game, we should talk about how good this Eagles offense is because we're fully healthy and we're fully ready to go.
Yeah. So I got us winning 35-21. I think it's going to be a little breakout game. Now that AJ's back, Devontae's back, Lane Johnson's back, and I just feel like we're going to have a game today. And like you said, if we lose, something's up. It's not good.
Yeah, if we lose, it's because I'm going to say the play call. If they end up losing, I'm going to say it's because play calling was continued to be horrible. Jalen Hurts was bad, and then that's when the excuses end here. When you got your fully healthy, the excuses end. And they end now. If he's not playing the way we think he should be playing, it's a problem. And then I think the game plan, it's just going to be an offensive game plan. They're the only team in football to not score a single point in the first quarter yet this year, and that comes down to the game plan being executed correctly and having a good game plan, which they have not yet. So hopefully that things change this week. I'm Johnny Mack. This is Brad DeFrancesco. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you click the subscribe button. You like, you follow, you share with your friends, do all that good stuff. And we are also sponsored by SeatGeek. So use code Ring That Bell for a 20% discount on that. And then thank you, everybody. And most importantly, go Birds.
Go Birds. Thank you.